What's going on YouTube? I just went over the Gear Gaia monsters, and now this guy in the back seat from Doing Other Games going over the Chromology monsters, or Chronology, or whatever, Chronomoly. I don't even understand. But either way, in Japan they were called double OP arts or OOP arts, which meant out of place artifacts. So I guess they started watching the show Ancient Aliens on History Channel and said, hey, let's make a set off of this. Um, Gotta admit that while the set has as much support as the Prophecy monsters, which the two of them, they both have 11 cards, um, somehow this one just, I mean, it makes sense, but it also has some stuff that really doesn't make sense. So I'm going to go over it and we're going to see how it can be used. And they also got the most exceeds out of any archetype I think I've ever seen in a single set. They have 3 separate exceeds, all for their archetype. So we'll go down it pretty quick. There's 11, so it's going to take a minute. Chromology, okay, I'm going to get this right. Chronomoly. Okay. Chronomoly Colossal Head. You can banish this card from your graveyard, then target one level 3 or higher attack position monster. Change it to either face up or face down defense position, and you can only use it once a turn. 800, 1600. It's a banish from grave effect, so that's all I'm going to care about. It's a rock, but its effect is kind of interesting. Kind of reminds me of A&D Changer, where you can discard it and change a monster to attack or defense. But this card lets you set, so that's really interesting. I could see Empty Jar possibly utilizing it. You can only use it once a turn, and this is what I meant by this archetype. Kind of makes sense and doesn't make sense because there's combos and then there's not combos. So either way, Chronomoly, Colossal Head, it's a 1600 wall if you set it. That's really not a big deal because anything can beat over that nowadays, but it does have that interesting banish from graveyard effect, and it does say, it says you can banish it, target one level 3 or higher attack position monster, and you change it to defense. So it doesn't target only yours; it targets either player. So that's really cool. I like that. Like you can set their, it's level 3 or higher too, so you can like set a big thing like a monarch and beat over it. It's kind of like a Tsukiyomi from the grave, kind of. I like this card. Chronomoly Colossal Head is probably the most interesting, in my opinion, of the whole group. Um, Now we get into where there's like specific combos, which is where there's even more interesting stuff. Chronomoly Crystal Bone. It's a level 3 light rock. It says if your opponent, it's a 1300 400. It says if your opponent controls a monster and you control no monsters, you can special summon this card from your hand. When this card is special summoned in this way, you can special summon one Chronomoly monster from your hand or graveyard, except another copy of this. I like this. It's a Cyber Dragon. It's level 3, so that makes easy rank 3s. And then it also says you get to special summon another Chronomoly from the hand, except himself. So it also specific. It says like any Chronomoly monster. So he's a 3, and conveniently the Skull's a 3. So you see where that works. Um, but it's interesting because like you go from generic support to archetype specific support. So either way, moving on, Chronomoly Crystal Skull says if you control a Chronomoly monster, you can discard this card from your graveyard or to your graveyard, add one Chronomoly monster from your deck or graveyard to your hand, except Chronomoly Crystal Skull, and you can only use it once a turn. So if you special summon this and you have 2 of these in hand, you can special summon the other one, get 2 level 3s, and that's good. But then you can pitch the other one and get another one. It's interesting, like I said, but once again, like I don't see how these two can be used in a crazy combo aside from putting the skull on the bones. But either way, then we get into more strange support. It's a machine now, so we've gone from rocks to machines, which aren't supposed to be. They're an archetype. They're usually affiliated with Earth, but you got light, 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 rock, and Earth. So you got rock, rock, rock. You know, 2 light rocks, 1 Earth rock, and a light machine. So you can't even solidarity in this deck. 1300, 1400 says once per turn you can increase the levels of all Chronomoly monsters by 1. So you have the power to up levels, but it's only for Chronomolies. It's not, select any monster in your field and up its level by 1. So still not seeing where the big mesh is here with the deck. It hasn't made sense to me yet, but I can see some people utilizing this as a way to bust out, you special summon, a level like 4, and you bring him out, and then it says once a turn you can up all the levels by 1. So then you can go for rank 5s and go for Tyrus, which is interesting. But it's still as machines and rocks and lights and earths, and now we're back to earths, and we have Chronomoly Mayan Machine, which is a level 3 Earth machine with a 1500 700, and its effect is so out of nowhere that it just doesn't make any sense to me, because it says for the tribute summon of a machine type monster, you can treat this card as 2 tributes. There are no level 7 or higher machines that are Chronomoly inspired. There are none for Abyss Rising. There are none for this set unless we get a TCG exclusive, which we already got a reprint of a card that's already in Japan for the set that also doesn't sync with any of these at all for any situation. So I don't know what Konami is doing, if they just needed a crap ton of commons and they made these cards, but Chronomoly Mayan Machine is like the worst card of the set unless you're going to not play it in Chronomoly and you're going to play it and beat down machines where you need a 2 tribute on 1 monster. Still doesn't make sense to me. And then you got Chronomoly Moa, which, by the way, isn't a machine. It's the only tribute of the group because it's a level 5, which you don't need 2 tributes for anyway. It's a rock. It's a 1800, 1600, which are appalling stats. And it says if you control a Chronomoly monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. So the ideal play, in my opinion, would be to manage to get the Colossal Head on the field, normal summon the Chronomoly Golden Jet, up the levels to 5, and then go for the rank 5 that involves 3 level 5s that doesn't exist yet. I still don't understand what they're trying to accomplish with this deck, what the deck is supposed to do, how it's supposed to work, but I'm going to give them a chance. I still don't understand. Like, I understand normal summon the Jet, up its level to 5, special summon this, and go for Machu Machu, but that's it. And it's Machine Rock Light Earth combos. Like, there's so much problems. Then we got Continuous Spell. I mentioned Solidarity earlier because they gave them their own Solidarity, which says Chronomoly monsters you control gain 800 attack, and it's Chronomoly Pyramid Eye Tablet. Continuous spells are not necessarily dead in this format because 6 Sams are still doing okay, but this is a stick spell that doesn't do anything else but boost the monster's attack points. So if we were adding 800 to all the stats of these monsters, they do become pretty aggressive. But you have to have a continuous spell, and in triple MST and Heavy Storm format, that's not as easy to do. But if you add 800, this becomes a 2600 level 5. This becomes a 2300 level 3. I mean, their stats go up pretty good. 21, that becomes a 17, that becomes a 2000, and that becomes a 1600 attack. And it doesn't up their defense either. So, like, even though you have a defensive based deck with high defenses on a majority of their cards, it only ups attack points. Man, this guy doesn't make sense. So anyway, then you got the last card, which is Chronomoly Technology. It says target 1 Chronomoly monster in your graveyard, banish it, then reveal the top 2 cards of your deck. Add 1 of them to your hand and send the other to the graveyard. Only 1 Chronomoly Technology can be activated turn, and during the turn it's activated, this card you cannot special summon monsters except Chronomoly monsters. So they have some type of draw accelerant support, but you have to banish a card in your graveyard to do it, which if you read the skull and the bone and all these other things, you just you want them in the graveyard. And that's why the deck doesn't make much sense to me. But you guys have your own opinion of the deck. I can see it being fun and like an attempt at an interesting archetype, but they don't even get support in the next set. And the main character that uses it in the show, 3, he's got some interesting support cards, but I don't even know if we get those in the future. Either way, that's the spells and the monsters. Now we go to the exceeds. Now the exceeds are where things get interesting because once again, you're in a situation where they don't even want the archetype specifics to be able to use these. Anybody can use these because they're all generic exceeds. You have Chronomoly Crystal Xenoform. He's a light psychic 20, 100, 1000 monster. It says once per turn, when this card is targeted for an attack, you can detach an exceed material from this card. During this turn, you cannot be destroyed by battle or by card effects, and your opponent takes all battle damage you would have taken from the battle involving this card. So, okay, the first bit about this guy that's interesting is that he is the ultimate wall. He can't be destroyed by anything if the opponent attacks him, but they have to attack him to detach the material. So there's a problem. They have to attack him. They can smash and ground him before the battle step, and his whole play goes away. If you're going up against major aggro that doesn't have removal, he's a good tech. But if you're not, he's just going to fall to the wayside. They have to target him for the attack in order for his effect to happen. That's the problem. Is like it doesn't seem to me like he's entirely broken, but he's not bad. He is that like couple turn wall, but he's just like Zenmain's. But Zenmain's is way better because he protects himself indefinitely as long as he has materials. And if he would be destroyed by anything, then you can detach, and then his effect carries out. He is a built-in, magic cylinder or a built-in, Amazon as swordswoman on the 2100, but I just don't see it being heavily played. Then you have number 33, Chronamoly Machu Machu. He's a machine. So we've gone from psychics, and they're all lights here, but we have psychic lights, or psychic light, and machine lights. And we got Machu Machu that's 2400, 1500, and says 2 level 5s. And once per turn, you can detach and exceed material from this card, so you have the option to do it whenever. To target one face-up monster your opponent controls, inflict damage to your opponent equal to the difference between its attack and its original attack, and have this card gain that much attack. That's an amazing effect in a deck where the entire purpose would be to neg the creature's stats. But it doesn't. There is no card in the set that reduces attack points. So your burn card isn't a burn card. And it has to be an opponent's monster. So you can't even say, hey, I've upped him with this so I can deal 800 to you. No. It's only opponents. It's so dumb. There's no possible way to break this card with the deck that it's built to be put in. Because Chronomolies don't neg stats. There's no cards that do in the whole set. How does it make sense for them to give us an XC that doesn't accomplish anything for the set? Finally, number 6, Chronamoly Atlanto. Okay, it's Atlantis, people. That's what they did. They made Atlantis. But whatever. It's the most impressive of the group, in my opinion. And because he's a rank 6 generic, that's why I think he'll see a lot of play. When this card is XC summoned, you can target one number monster in your graveyard, equip that target to this card, it gains attack equal to the attack of the monster equipped by that effect. So you have a 2600 monster that is a rank 6. That's not hard to do. You target any number monster in your grave, which could be Utopia that you went for earlier, and he magically becomes a 5100 beater. That's impressive. Or half the attack. So he would go up by 1250, so his attack would become 3850. That's a big number, people. 3850 on a rank 6, a big number. Then it says, once per turn, you can detach an exceed material from this card, send the monster equipped by this effect to the graveyard, and by doing so, you get to have your opponent's life points, and you can't conduct your battle phase. Dogma is an old card, and it states the same thing, but it's on your standby phase after he's summoned, and it gives the opponent a full turn. This guy says, no, your life points are half, unless you're going to solemn me, in which case, your life points are half, or solemn warning me, which in that case you take 2000 damage. There's a lot of very, very, very creative things that can be done with Atlanto. He's the only one that's awesome to me. He's the only one, and he's generic. So it's like they said, yeah, we made these commons, and here you go. Here's another card. The deck really doesn't combo well, but you can try to work with it. So you have a set of rocks and machines that don't entirely support each other, and also entirely don't support other archetypes. It's so weird. You have 2 spells that give a little bit of support to the entire archetype and complete support to the archetype. And then you have 3 XCs, which are decent as standalone XCs, but they don't do anything for the deck. I don't understand, Konami. Is your R&D department that messed up? Please call me if you'd like help. Just, no. Chronamoly will never be a deck that I build. I hope this video was informative. I know it was long. There's 11 cards. Sorry. And I had to rant a bit. So, Doomfellow Games, comment, rate, subscribe, and have a nice day.